Just initially, Dick, what did your dad do for a living?
He was a dairy farmer.
Whereabouts?
Spencer Road in the town of Kyantone.
Was that near you? They used to have the Spencer Farm for a lot of stuff?
We were within a block of them on the same road.
No kidding. So what was that? I know my parents used to talk about having reunions and stuff at the Spencer Farm.
Well, at one point they even had about 6 clay courts for tennis. And they had a business going there. And in the barn on the second floor, they had a nice dance hall, and they did square dancing up there.
So you will remember that?
Oh yes, I remember it.
Yeah. Did the kids party there? Was it a neighborhood area to gather?
Well, people just came if they wanted to square dance.
So it was a kind of a weekly routine or weekly event, Saturday night?
Well, that I don't know.
Yeah.
Because we didn't do it.
So, what's your birth date, Dick?
March 17th, 1927. That is a Irish holiday.
And I know you're not Irish.
That's right.
Certain things I do know.
St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patrick's Day, and we all celebrate that. Do you remember December 7th, 1941?
Yes.
What do you remember about it?
Just news that we had been attacked. I don't remember any details except that it was the Japanese Air Force that sunk a lot of our ships.
Was there much buzz around in the family? Do you remember your mom and dad talking about that at all?
No. No, they didn't.
You would have been 14 years old at that time. Where did you go to school?
Well, I went to junior high school at Jefferson, and then the last 4 grades at the Jamestown High School.
Did you move from Kyantone, did you move into Jamestown?
Kyantone had always been associated with Jamestown.
Okay, so that was the extended school district there.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're at Jefferson, and then Jamestown High School. During going through school at that time period, during the wartime, do you remember rations? Did your mom and dad, were they?
Oh yes. So we had a 1937 Buick that had 2 tire wells, spare tire wells, 1 in each fender. He had to give up 1 tire.
Really?
Yeah, and we were only allowed 3 gallon a week or something. But because he was a farmer and used gasoline on the tractors and stuff, why, we survived that.
Yeah. Did you have a victory garden? Did you have something along those lines?
No, we had enough work to do, just farm work.
So during the wartime period, did you have siblings? I mean, we know Alan, he's younger than you, right?
Yeah, he's 5 years younger than I am.
So you're the oldest?
There's only 2 of us,
Oldest,
yeah.
Okay. And what year did you graduate from Jamestown High School?
1944.
44. At some point, did you get a letter from Uncle Sam?
No, we had the opportunity to take an examination to get into the V12, which was a college course. And I took the exam and I was accepted. And so then I reported to the University of Rochester that July.
And talk about for the camera, the VJ, what was that course? What was it, the program itself?
The V-12,
V-12, yeah.
they were going to make ensigns out of us in 2 years
This would be in the Navy?
in the Navy. And we took all the required courses. But the first year was, some of it was a repeat of the math that we had gotten in high school, because I took the technical course in high school. But then the second year we got into fire control and repair and maintenance of boats, and learned how to use some of the devices that they had used in the war.
And this was all at Rochester?
Yes.
Noting that, did you have to go into Lake, what was it, Lake Erie? Or did,
No, we didn't get deep sea training.
yeah.
It was strictly courses in math and science, and English, and
So you're there at the University of Rochester while really the war is going on. Are you able to, did they keep current as to what was going on in both Europe and in the Pacific?
well, we were interested in the news, and we listened to news.
Was that part of your course study at all? Did they kind of show you where things were progressing?
Oh, we'd see a map now and then, yes.
But what about boot camp aspect of it? Did you get into the physical?
Well, we had physical training,
Yeah.
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 But we didn't slash at each other with bayonets or anything. Did some boxing.
Did you? So during that time period, were there any humorous incidents, Dick? Something that was sort of out of the ordinary, would say, Greg, you're not going to believe this happened?
No, I can't think of anything.
No, you're not going silent on us because Candy is here, are you?
No.
I've had that happen. So you're there really from July 1944 through
47, June of 47. I had my ensign commission and the Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering.
Mm-hmm. This would all been at Rochester, or were you assigned out of Rochester?
No, it was all done in the University of Rochester.
So tell me what life was like at the University of Rochester when you heard the news that the Japanese had surrendered. Was there any celebration?
Oh, sure. We didn't hit the sack at the same time.
Was there a sense of relief at that moment where the war has ended and now you're really not going to go?
Well, we had the opportunity to stay in, or we could leave. I chose to leave.
And so 1947 you mustered out?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then just for the camera, then what happened? Did you use the GI Bill? Did you go to school?
Well, I had my degree in engineering,
Right.
and I went home for the summer because Dad needed help on the farm.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got a job at Taylor Instrument Company in Rochester. Stayed there for 5 years.
Mm-hmm. And then where?
I came back to Jamestown. That's when I started making mistakes.
So you come back to Jamestown, did you go back to the farm? Did you work that? Or?
No, I got a job at Blackstone.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I've stayed there the rest of my life.
So what was your job at Blackstone?
I was in plant engineering and finally worked my way up to vice president of production engineering.
So give me your best Candace Carlson story.
Now, she was a pretty good kid. I don't really have one.
That's the last time we invite her to be part of this. Do you believe that, Shirley? No story? What kind of life would
He
it
didn't
be?
tell about his fingers.
Oh yeah, what happened? Yeah.
Well, I guess before I joined Blackstone, I worked at General Electric in Erie. And I was in locomotive test. And the engine started racing. We weren't movement, but the engine was running and seemed to be picking up speed. And I reached into the engine department to move a lever that would lift all the valves, and that would shut the engine off. But I hit the fan instead.
Oh, gosh. So we have your daughter here. What's the question I should be asking your dad? That funny story, that unique thing, that's something that your kids are going to want to know is preserved on film.
I'm sorry. I don't know. He was a great dad. Lots of fun, kind of pushy. Made me practice hard and get A's and learn to water ski.
I even made her change the tire on the car before she could take her driver's test.
Yeah.
How'd you do?
It was a struggle. Those lug nuts are hard. I had to have a pipe along with it, with the extra leverage. She got them off.
You could ask him about his haircut.
Well, the brush cut, I mean, that's you. I mean, this is,
Yeah.
as long as I remember, we go back a long time, is the brush cut. Why? Why the brush cut?
It's handy.
It is.
Easy to take care of. Why monkey with combing and parting and pompadour. And
Yeah, but sometimes it's not natural. Did you ever used to use that Brill cream type stuff that to kind of, making sure it stands up? I mean,
no, I smeared it up with Vaseline once in a while.
I know my dad, you remember Lyle Peterson? Do you remember my dad?
Yeah.
Yeah, anyways, he did that for a while, but it was always kind of not natural. I mean, mine just, plops down, but yours seems to be just always there. This is great. This is great, because I don't want to, I just learned that your daughter used to hang around at my fraternity house. And there's probably stories here that, are there stories about me? Do you think about me that I should be wary of? That's why I hesitate going back to reunions. You never know when somebody comes up and says,
She did tell me about one date that she had where she was in a car with several kids, and he was driving erratically, and one guy was pretending that he was going to open the door and jump. And I said, I think you would just stay away from that bunch. And they were the upper crust.
That was another fraternity.
That was here in Jamestown.
Okay.
Yeah, that was at Jamestown High School.
One of those fraternities.
Yeah. Well, this has been great. Thank you for being a good sport. This is all part, because what you did in Rochester is part of the schooling project. tells a story. To me, it tells a whole big story of World War II, and you've probably done about 200 of these interviews.
Many of us felt that we were shirking our duty, being in school while people were getting killed. And the captain of the school at that point, he tried to reassure us. He says, "You are right where we want you to be. And you're being trained. We don't know how long this war is going to last." He says, "But you're doing what we want you to do." So it settled us down.
I'm glad you articulated that, because not everybody can do that. Even to this day, when I ask folks, were you in World War II? Which is probably inappropriate. The answer is, I was in the service, but I didn't see any action. They draw a line. Many people say I was either action or non-action, and as if there were two separate classes of people, and it's so wrong. So I'm glad you said what you just said, because it was all part of a major machine of the war effort. I mean, you could be behind a desk in Washington, like your boss, Reg Linnae. Reg was a procurement officer in Washington, and so much of the atomic bomb, getting all of the component parts, they didn't know it was the atomic bomb. They just had to go to Detroit, and that was Reg's job. He had to put the arm on people to give up stuff for the good of the cause, not knowing what the end game was, but that was very critical.
Yes.
You had to have the component parts to make the bomb, which ultimately ended the war. But that was Reg. In one sense, he was an office guy. But, it's all part of it. So thank you for spending the time and humoring me.
Okay, it was fun.
Thank you. You're a good audience, Billy. Anything else you want to know?